Hello everyone and welcome to another Game Maker guide. In this guide we will be continuing to work with this ship game, this time adding targets. As you can see, we can go through here and shoot the targets like we were shooting the blocks last time, but the targets move around and they're more interesting to shoot at, and so we will be adding those in right now. So let's go back to our previous game and work from there. First thing we'll want to do is add in the target sprite. I have made that previously. Now I'm loading that in. Change the name, sp_target, and then we will create the target object, object_target, or obj. Set the sprite. Now, currently we have the bullet set to destroy our block object. So let's go into the bullet object, and under the collision event for the object block, we're going to want to change that, the change button down here, to the collision with the target. So now the bullet will ignore the block, will move right through it, and instead it will destroy the target and itself when it hits the target. So we'll say OK there. Now we want the target to actually move around. So we're going to add event, create, go to Control Tab, drag the script block over, put it in the curly brackets, and now we want to set a direction. This time we want the direction to actually be random, not set to go right or left or up or down. So we want to put in the random function here, and then in parentheses we're going to put 360 and a semicolon. So the direction will now be any number between 0 and 360. So each of the individual targets will choose a random direction at the beginning of the game and start moving around. We need to have the speed again. Speed we're going to have lower. When they're too fast moving around and hard to shoot, it's just no fun. So for right now we'll just set it to 3, and then we'll click OK. And right now we can actually go into our room and remove all of the blocks that we have here, holding down shift, and I'm right clicking to remove them all. And we already have our target chosen here. So if we were to just make a bunch of targets and start the game, waiting for it to load, we can see that the targets will choose a random direction, but they'll simply go and move all the way out of the screen and just keep on going. That's not what we want. So we got to go back into the game here and choose our object block and make a barrier for the target. So if you hold down shift and left click, you can draw a line here for these blocks and move the view over a little bit. So now we have them all enclosed, but they're not actually going to do anything because they're not programmed to change their direction once they actually hit the block. So we go back into object target and add an event, a collision event for the blocks. Drag over our script. Now we want to go move, bounce, all. Now if we made the block solid, then we could go solid, and that's a pretty simple checkbox, but for right now we'll just go move, bounce, all for simplicity's sake. And then in parentheses we will choose 1. This is advanced mode, you can see down here. To be honest, I don't really know the difference between advanced mode and normal mode. I could do some testing, but for the sake of time I just tested this out and it works perfectly fine. So now we'll click OK. So now if we play the game, you can see that the blocks are encasing the targets here, and the targets are bouncing off of the blocks and staying inside our view here. And because we switched the bullets to interact with the targets and not the blocks, bullets move right through the blocks and they do destroy the targets. So that's good. But we do still have the blocks here, which just doesn't look very good. So that's a very simple thing to fix. We go back into our block object, and there's a checkbox here for visible. And here's the solid checkbox we were discussing earlier. That has to do with collision events, and that's I can explain later. But right now we just want to take the visible off so we don't see the blocks. The blocks will still be there, they just won't be visible. And because they're still there, the targets will still interact with them. So let's go back into the game here. And as you can see, we now have targets that bounce around and they stay inside the map like they're supposed to. And we can go through and we can shoot them just fine. So really simple, really quick and easy way to add actual targets and make the game a lot more interesting.